Thank you so much. So a very good morning. Now we're starting with the very first presentation of this, 1 week training program. The very first presentation is on industry-issued partnership in technical institutions, national and international experiences. The contents of my presentation, there's a brief introduction, of course. The activities under the IIP, industry-issued partnership. The factors which are inhibiting the industry-issued partnership, which are those factors which are, trying to obstruct basically the, more closer interaction with the industry. Then resources will require presenters to please mute their mics. So once the presentation is over, I can take the questions from each center. So, but first let the presentation go on. At the end of the presentation, we will have some time in which we can have the question answer session, So resources and expertise in the technical institutions, which we can share with the industry. Resources and expertise in the industry, which they can share with us. Then IIP practices in different countries. This I shall be sharing with all of you because I have been to more than 35 countries, I suppose, on different assignments. So I can share some of my, experiences. The community colleges concept in the USA, which is again, I think very, very important for us to share with all of you. And then the concluding slides. So start with the introduction. This we have already taken up. Okay. You see, when you talk of this education is acknowledged as a major vehicle for human empowerment and the transformation. Education plays a very important role in any person's life, If you want to transform a person, if you want to empower a person, education is the key, for that thing. Mr. Barack Obama, he said that the America cannot lead in the 21st century unless we have the best educated, most competitive workforce in the world. So the focus is entirely on the education and on the skills portion. When you talk about the workforce, that means the skills portion basically should be there, One of the aims of education is to empower the youth, engage their interest. Engage their interest is very, very important. It cannot be a boring sort of education, and provide the skills and experiences to improve the socio-economic condition. So focus on the knowledge, focus on the skills and the experiences, sharing of your knowledge, sharing of experiences basically with the students. The technical education sector aims to provide a systematic and orderly transmission of knowledge, the cognitive domain, we talk of the skills, the psychomotor domain, we talk of the attitudes, the affective domain. So there should be a combination of knowledge, skills, and the attitude, and not only the knowledge portion only. To develop a workforce that is able to enhance productivity and sustain competitiveness in the global economy. This is, a sort of a saying by Dr. Quisiming. Dr. Quisiming is she's the former Minister of Education in the Philippines. I think she's must be around 83, 84 years of age. She's a lady, but very active. She gave this statement in one of the UNESCO UNIVOC conferences in 2004 in Germany, at Bonn. And this statement of her became UNESCO UNIVOC's declaration basically. She said that if education is the key to the development, then technical and vocational education and training, is the master key. If education is the key, then technical education and vocational education is the master key, which opens the doors to the poverty alleviation and greater equity, justice and fairness, particularly for the most vulnerable and marginalized groups. If a person is technically sound, or technically he has the expertise, or vocational he has got the expertise, then that person can never sit idle. He can get a job, either a wage employment, or he can go for a self-employment also. So if education is the key, then technical and vocational education is the master key, which can remove a lot of problems, So then we say that if if the technical education is the master key, then the industry-issued partnership is the mode of that master key. You see, when you talk of the engineering education, called engineering education without the industry. You cannot teach an engineering sitting in the classrooms only. It has to be in the industry also. Industry means the actual world of work basically, or the field basically. It has to be a collaborative or a cooperative model. You cannot just teach right sitting into the classrooms only. Now let us talk of the changing role of technical education. We have this old paradigm and new paradigm. If you see the old paradigm says this is a supply-driven approach. That means you train the students, you give the students as the knowledge, train them on BTech, give them the degree, and push them into the market. Supply-driven. You're just supplying to the market. The new paradigm says no. It should be a demand-driven approach. Unless the industry, unless the world of work demands a certain specific qualification, there's no point of pushing it into the market. It should be demand-driven rather than a supply-driven. The old paradigm says training for the. You're training a person for 4 years so that he can get a job. The new paradigm says learning for the employability. Because in older times, once you get a job, you stay in that job for 30, 40 years and then you retire from there. But nowadays, if you see the student, they're changing the jobs every year, sometimes twice in a year, So you have to, you have to train them on, learning to learn basically, so that, they can learn the latest concepts and they remain employable all the times basically. Old paradigm says one-time learning. We talk of now the lifelong learning because the technology is changing very fast. The concepts are changing very fast. Very fast. You have to always keep on learning all the time. Training and focus on the teacher or the trainer. As per the new paradigms, the self-learning and focus on the learner. So it is all basically learner focused, and the focus is right on the learner and not on the teacher. Education and training are separated. Now they are integrated. So the education in the classrooms and training in the industry, they are integrated as per the new paradigm. The old paradigm says specialization in one skill, and now we are talking about the multi-skilling basically. The old paradigm says skill recognition based on the training period and examinations. That means you train a person for 6 months, you take an examination at the end of the semester, and then he clears and then everything is okay. But the new paradigm says recognition based on the competency. Whether the person is competent or not. He may have the degree, he may not have the degree, but whether it's competent or not. In case it's competent, it doesn't have a degree, then go for the RPL, recognition of prior learning. The person is competent, with competence, and give him the degree or the diploma basically. Rigid and fixed entry and exit. There's a rigid entry in engineering colleges, and then exit is all. So everything is lined up. Now we are talking of the flexible and multiple entry and exit. He can come anytime. He can attend a semester. He can go out, work in the industry. Again, he can come back, join the second semester. So he can keep on coming and he can keep on going. And he can keep on acquiring all those the modules basically. Training for wage employment. You train a person for getting a job basically. Now we are talking of wage and the self-employment. He can go for the self-employment. He can go for the entrepreneurship also. The policy and the delivery are dominated by the state. It is the state which decides what has to be done. Talking of the market-driven, what the market decides basically what should be the policy. Governance dominated by the state. Now we are talking about the participatory governance. Governance by the industry and governance by the state. So it's a participatory governance. That's a new paradigm basically. Okay, what is the need for the industry-issued partnership? The industry, always complains about the quality of our students. This we have told on so many occasions. I was talking in the morning also that, as per the study by the young aspiring minds, only 7% of the technical graduates, engineering graduates are only employable. So industry says they are not employable. 93% they are not employable. The students are not able to have a feel of the workplace while studying unless they go to the industry, unless they go to the actual world of work. They cannot have a feel of that work environment basically. The soft skills like leadership, workers, communication, interpersonal relations are missing in the students, and they can acquire all these things when they're working in the industry. You can train them on these skills in the classroom, but the actual practice comes into the industry. When they go over there, when they meet the old workers and the young workers over there, when they interact with all those people, they learn all those concepts. The self-confidence for entrepreneurship is missing the students because they do not have the knowledge, they do not have that skills portion with them. So they have only theoretical knowledge, so they are afraid of venturing into the industry. So if they know the actual hands-on this thing, they can easily go into the industry. The curriculum does not meet expectations of the industry. Majority of the technical teachers have little industry experience. In fact, many of the teachers nowadays they do their BTech, MTech, then they go into the teaching, or they do their PhD, go into the teaching. So they have rarely gone to the industry. So they have no idea what the industry looks like. Latest practices in the industries are not known to the teachers and subsequently to the students. Certain topics can only be taught better in the industry. In any field, you talk of civil engineering, you talk of electrical engineering, you talk of mechanical engineering. In any engineering, certain portions you can teach them much better into the industry when they see the things over there, rather than teaching right into the classrooms. So that is why you need to have a more close interaction with the industry. The problems and the issues of the industries are not fully appreciated by the teachers and vice versa. So there has to be common platform. There has to be a proper partnership. There has to be proper interaction forums, and they can share and discuss their issues and the problems. The new requirements of the industries, like new courses, are unknown to the teachers. Sometimes they need some certain new courses. Unless we talk to them, unless we have a more closer interaction with them, we are not aware of what are their latest requirements basically. Then the R&D is more cost effective in the technical institutions. The industry has to do some R&D. In the industry, it is very expensive as compared to in the teaching institutions. So there, the institutions, they can help the industry. Now, in having the R&D, retraining of the industrial workforce is felt by the industry, and that is where the technical institutions they can venture into, and then the people from the industry, the people at the lower level, supervisory level, worker level, we can retrain them. Documentation of the action research in industry by the teachers. Industry always keeps on doing some small researches, which they rarely document because they are not they are not writers, they are not lecturers, So the faculty members, the teachers, they can go into the industry and they can talk to the people over there, and their small researches what they are doing, they can document them over there, and they can be discussed in the classrooms also. Generating by the institutes needed for survival. So for all these reasons, we need to have a more close interaction with the industry, more close partnership with the industry. And the different activities which can be done under the industrial partnership, the curriculum design and review. In fact, we have got a session also how the industry can help in designing a curricula and implementing a curricula and evaluating a curricula. So the industry's involvement, because curriculum is the base of any teaching. Industry's involvement right into the curriculum development and then its implementation and then its evaluation, that would be much better. Industrial training of the students, industrial training of the teachers. Now this is this is missing. I was talking to our previous director, Dr. MP Poonian, who is now the vice chairperson of the ACT, that there should be some training policy for the technical teachers. Every technical teacher must go to the industry at least once in 3 to 5 years. Must go. Right now, the teachers who have come into the system, they have never gone to, they have no industrial experience, and even now they're not going to industry. So there should be a mandatory requirement of at least 1 to 3 months every 3 to 5 years. The teacher must go, they must spend the time over there. Same is the case with the technical staff also. Industrial visits, extension lectures, industry-based project work, evaluation, research, development and consultancy, continuing education, career guidance and job placement of students, apprenticeship training programs, and entrepreneurship. So this is a range of basically all activities which can be done under the industry institute partnership. So the range is quite wide. The factors which are inhibiting the industry institute linkages. The first is improper location of the technical institutions. Some of the technical institutions, they are located at such a far off place, there is no industry within the vicinity of 100 kilometers. So how can they have the interaction with the industry? So faculty vacancy is again a major issue. 30 to 40% of the seats are lying vacant. I am talking about the faculty seats are lying vacant, So there's a tremendous pressure on the existing faculty, and this, which basically inhibits the more interaction with the industry. Lack of industrial experience amongst the teachers. Industrial training is not mandatory for the teachers. Again, one of the major reasons. A lack of academic and administrative autonomy and support, especially with the state engineering colleges and all those things. They lack all those autonomies. Lack of dynamism at the top management level. If the person at the top, the director or let us say the HOD, if the person is very dynamic, you can have more interaction. But if that person is not very dynamic, so there could be some problems. Inadequate industrial content in the curriculum is again one of the reasons. Okay, now let us talk of the resources and the expertise which is available in the technical institutions, which we can share with the industry. You see, one of the major reasons of not having an industry issue partnership is that there's no give and take. we keep on always taking something from them. We are never giving something back in return to them. So what we can give to them back in return? So this we can give it to them. Like the number one is industrial consultants, industrial problem solving through consultancy. Some of the bright, teachers, they can offer consultancy to the industry. So that is how you pay back something back to the industry. Testing facilities in labs and workshops can be extended to the industry. Continuing education programs for working professionals can be conducted by us. We can have collaborative R&D projects. The industry can avail the library and other infrastructure facilities of the institutions. We have a lot of infrastructure. We have the playgrounds. We have the auditoriums. We have so many facilities which they can share when they need it. We can have collaborative seminars, conferences, and workshops. We can also write training material modules for the industry. So this is something which we can give back to the industry. And what the industry can give us, the training of the faculty and staff. They can help us in getting our faculty and staff trained in the industry, training of students in the industry, exposure to the specialized equipment and machines, some of the latest equipment, some of the latest machines. The faculty can be exposed to, the staff can be exposed to, information of the job profiles of technical manpower. Industry-based project works can be given by the industry to the students. Extension lectures can be taken by experts from the industry or by from the field. Assistance in curriculum design and review, even implementation also they can help us. In fact, we have seen some of the people working in the industries coming out to take some sessions as a part of the curricula also. Sponsorship of R&D and consultancy projects can be offered by the industry, and sponsorship or stipend and grants to the meritorious or poor students can also be given by the industry. So this is something which the industry can give to the technical institutions. This case study I have already discussed as a part of my opening this thing regarding the Baddi University. MTechs, this Nitra Chandigarh we have also discussed. Like our MTechs are highly industry oriented, practice based. Our short-term courses we are offering 50% is industry participation. Like even in this program we have a lot of people from the industry coming over and taking some of the sessions over here. We offer continuing education programs for the industry. We have done a lot of training programs for the industry. Programs on total quality management, on Toyota manufacturing systems, on ISO. We have done a lot of research studies for the industries and for the institutions also. Even our curricula is being made in consultation with the industry. Instructional material is again being made in consultation with the industry, and extension and consultancy services. So we are focusing on the entire world of work basically, and in every aspect of our activities, the industry is an integral part of our activities. There's a case study of one Indo-Swiss training center in Chandigarh. It's basically like a polytechnic in Chandigarh. It's a part of the CSIO. So if you go to the Indo-Swiss training center, which was set up in collaboration with the Swiss government around 40 years back, So there, if you see, if you go to that polytechnic, basically, the skill portion is around 70%. Theory is only 30%. So they have, big workshops. So the students, they spend most of the time in the workshops, and they have even different, color uniforms for the first year, second year, third year, when they go to the workshops. And the students, they come in the morning at 9 o'clock. They cannot go before 5 o'clock because the gates are closed. It's a part of the CSIO. They cannot go. And before they leave the premises, they have to wash all the machines. They have to sweep all the floors before they can go. So those, the attitudinal skills, they come into the students basically. BITS planning we have already discussed. Okay, and now this is a case study of one Dual Tech center in the Philippines. Dual Tech started in the Philippines in 1982 and 1991 as a social development project to help alleviate the widespread poverty in the Philippines, because there's a lot of poverty in the Philippines, and they wanted to train the youth on different vocations basically, so that they can become employable. Because once you become a vocationally trained person, you become employable. You can easily get a job, or you can go for the self-employment also. So through vocational education and training programs, adapting the German dual training system to local conditions. So in Germany, they have got a dual training system in which the students spend some time in the industry, sometimes in the institute. This is a collaboration. We'll discuss after some time. It's a dual tech system. So sometime in the industry, sometimes in the institution. So they adopted the same model basically. So the students, they were trained in the institutes and into the industry, and they become vocationally trained. They become employable basically. Now this is the German model, the very famous German model. Germany, they say, is the very first country who moved towards the capitalization of the knowledge. They were the ones who started capitalizing the knowledge, which our country, unfortunately, they were not capitalizing in. So in the 19th century, they set up an institute known as the Technische Hochschulen, which was like a linchpin to the linchpin of German education, and they were giving service to the industry. So it was an institute set up by the German, which was giving the benefits to the industry, and not a vice versa. So they set up this technical universities in 1960s, and those technical universities, they got attracted a lot of huge investments from the industry. They raised industrial performance, and they gave the technology push. So new technology was generated, competent manpower was produced, and new technology to the industry was generated. So that was the benefit of having the technological universities. So they get a lot of investment, and they do the research, and then they give the technology to the industry. So they had this innovation and technology transfer this thing, in which they have the technology relay centers, more than 100 relay centers that are there, in which they relay the technology. If you look at the lower bottom, so they have like a university. So there are innovation centers. So there is a university, and there are innovation centers around the university. Right now they have almost 200 innovation centers, and there's a combination of the university, the chambers of commerce, and then the research labs. So they're working in unison. So the university is not working in isolation. The university is working in collaboration with the research laboratories and in collaboration with the chambers of commerce and industries. So they work, like in unison basically. Now this is their dual system basically, vocational training in the German, the dual system. The characteristics, elements of the dual VET system in Germany. So it is being organized by the private sector and the public sector. Private means industry, public means the institutions basically. Conducted in the companies. So the training is being done in the companies, and the education is being done in the schools, the part-time vocational schools. It is carried out as training at the workplace and classroom tuition. On the basis of training, there's a training contract with the companies, and there's a compulsory attendance at the vocational schools. It's regulated by the federal government in the case of companies, in the case of private sector, and it is regulated by the states in the case of public sector, supervised by the chambers of commerce and industries and by the school supervision bodies. So there is a perfect combination basically. So what is the net result? If you see the net result, the students, they get personal and social competence. That means they are highly motivated. They can take decisions. They have the ability to work in a team. They're willing to cooperate. Awareness of the impact of the technology. The second is methodological competence and occupational competence. Because once a student studies in the school or in the institute, and also works simultaneously in the industry, so there's not a problem, In fact, in some of the, if you see some of the MBA programs in Canada, it's their very famous co-op system. They cooperative system basically, in which, like an MBA program, they have almost a 28 months MBA program. It's not a 2 years. It's a 28 months MBA program. So they have terms of 4 months each. So that's the semester is only for 4 months. Then it's known as a term basically. So there are 7 terms in an MBA program. The first term is academic in the management business school basically. The second term is in the industry. The students go into the industry. They work for 4 months over there. Third term, they again come back. They study in the institution or in the university. Fourth term is again industry. Fifth, academic. Sixth, industry. And the last in the institution, last in the university. So it is like a co-op system basically. Now, once a student spends 3 co-op terms in the industry, he works over there, and at the end of the MBA, so they have no problem getting employment basically. That is the benefit of having the close interaction with the industry. So in the dual training system, they have the strategic commitments by the institutes and by the industry. There's a legal commitment. They have got a vocational training act, so they have commitment also. And there are many benefits. Benefits in terms of the labor market relevant training is given to the students, acquisition of social skills, personality development, and motivating situations, because students are also earning while they are learning. And more benefits, they're getting qualified while on the job. They gain skills and knowledge which can be used across a range of jobs and industries. They move into new and better jobs and pay. They work better and more effectively. They learn at their own pace, etc. So, and resultantly, you get a next generation of skilled workers, at low recruitment cost, influence on the content and vocational training. So the industry can also influence the curriculum, because once they're a part of that, the entire structure, they can also influence the curriculum also. So that is a benefit. So major benefit to the of the dual structure VAT for the enterprises, that means for the companies, they get the next generation of skilled workers. It's already assured. A low recruitment cost, because they've already seen those students, so sometimes they take the same student as a part of the employees also. Influence on the content and conduct of the vocational training for the trainees, that means for the students. They get a labor market relevant training. The improved chances in the labor market of after completion of the training of getting a job, acquisition of social skills and personality development, and motivating situation, because they're earning while they are learning. So they have this strategic commitments. They have this, like they have a, there's a wide consensus in the society to provide all school leavers with vocational education and training. That means any student who leaves the school midway, he has to be trained on some vocation. So there is a mandate. He has to be trained. There's a strategic top-down decision made by the government and employers to implement a cooperative system. So they take those students who either leave after 10th or before 10th or 9th or 8th. They train them on different vocations. There's a commitment by the government and by the industries, and then they can get a job. Like recently, I went to Singapore. In fact, we had a team of 3 persons, myself and our joint secretary, MHRD, Government of India, and our director. So in the Singapore, they have this known as one ITE, Institute of Technical Education. So when we went to that ITE, they had a huge campus, and they had more than 100, vocations over there. In terms of the aeronautical, we saw those aircrafts, they were parked over there in the workshops, and mechanical and CAD, CAM, and all those things, So we were highly, impressed. And, it was, okay. Okay. So when, when we were discussing with those people over there, we came to know that this is basically an IDI only. So it was, the infrastructure was better than our IITs, but it was basically an IITI only. So they take up the school leavers after the 10th or before the 10th, they train them on different vocations as per their interest. And they say that these students, once they complete the 2 years, this thing, certificate, it's not a diploma also. So they're getting almost around 3,000 Singaporean dollars per month. They're getting a salary because they have the skills with us, with them. So that is the benefit of having a skill education, basically. Okay. So this, I was talking of legal commitment. They have this Vocational Training Act. There's a private-public partnership which determines the role of the stakeholders, their rights and their duties. There are clear-cut financing rules. The enterprises cover their own training cost. That is the apprenticeship pay, cost of trainers and materials. The government funds the schools and research in the field of vocational education and training and promotional programs, and the organizational infrastructure through the chambers. The accreditation of training companies, registration of training and work experiences agreements, it is all being done by the chambers of commerce and industries. So they have very clear-cut, activities and their domains, and very clear-cut financing rules, basically. Experiences of the USA, the universities. have become an annex of the industrial research laboratories. The universities possess special expertise and equipment that could be harnessed to entrepreneurial innovation. Today, all the American universities have become research universities. Teaching and research in these universities is linked to the enterprise. So all the professors, they do, the teaching and the research. Like the faculty over here, we do mostly the teaching portion, not the research basically. But there they say that a teacher without research is not a teacher, So they do the teaching and the research, and it is linked with the actual world of work, actual industry basically. They take up the problem from the industry, take it up as a research project. And those things, when they do, so this kind of things can be shared in the teaching in the classrooms also. Sorry. So the science parks, incubators, and innovation centers are very popular and successful schemes jointly implemented by the industry, university, and governments in the USA. So in all the institutions, all the technical institutions, they have got the science parks and innovation centers and incubation centers. So the students, they can also become entrepreneurs, when they go over there. Creation of new technology and new products and new processes is facilitated, leading to employment and income generation. This is regarding the USA. So they have there's one industry, there is one university and the government. So they are working together basically. So the university, they're working together basically. Creation of science parks, incubators, and innovation centers, which results in the new tech, and those new technology-based firms, they create new processes, new technology, new products, and they give the extra employment, extra income generation, and reduction in the sick industries. So that is the benefit. Some of the big, big enterprises in the USA, big companies in the USA, they have set up their own industries in their own universities, like IBM and Motorola. So they have their own, separate universities, known as the corporate universities, in which they build the world-class employees and who create the world-class companies. So, like the MIT has set up a local entrepreneurs foundation. Similarly, we have these SMEs, small and medium enterprises. They are running common learning centers in which they are building intellectual capital. So all those things like capitalization on the knowledge, university interventions, business circles. So that is all part of that scheme basically. Now they have got this local partnerships. So there's a institutions, the educators, the employers, and the bodies. So they come together, and there's a local partnership basically. So they provide the work-related activities, which includes work experience, industrial knowledge, on-the-job training, workplace mentoring, positive work attitudes, employability, etc. So the students, when they come out of the system, they become highly skilled and highly knowledgeable basically. So what are the lessons which I learned from USA? The government should remove the incompatibility between these policies for the higher education and policies for the industry. Like in our country, we have got a separate policy for the industry, separate policy for the higher education. So there should be compatibility. Restructure the existing universities and technical institutions to carry out research, education, and training for the industry. So we are not focusing on the research for the industry or training for the industry. So there should be some rearrangements, restructuring, in which every technical university or every technical institute should do something for the industry, the research for the industry, even training for the industry. New organizations like the science parks, incubators, innovation centers, patents, and intellectual property rights centers need to be part of the technical institutions or the universities. And we must make the public-private partnership in education a national priority. Okay, let us take up another country, Thailand. In Thailand, the enterprises face increasing pressure from the investors to improve the performance and quality, particularly among the car manufacturers. So a government institution specializing in the technology transfer and training known as MIDI, which is Metal Industries Development Institute, assists the small firms in metalworking and associated sectors in upgrading their technology and production processes. So it is an institute set up by the government which is helping the small and medium enterprises. MIDI has helped to establish entrepreneurial associations such as the Thai Foundry Men's Society, which can transmit to the MIDI and other institutions their need for training and other services. So whatever need is there, it comes to the MIDI, and MIDI provides those services to the industry or industry personnel. In Korea, we have the partnership through the industry clusters. What is a cluster? Basically, it's a group of enterprises belonging to a particular industrial sector and geographically concentrated in an area could form an industry cluster. Like let us say we have this Ambala. In Ambala, there's a lot of scientific instruments making small firms. So there's a scientific instruments cluster is here. You will find maybe 200 firms over there which are making small scientific instruments. So there's a cluster basically, and could benefit from being served by a tailored courses that are available in that area. Now you have those 200 small firms over there, but there's not even a single institution which specifically caters to that cluster. You can set up an institution in Ambala, I'm just saying for example, which can cater to those 200, 300 small this thing SMEs basically over there. So in Korea, the Komi Electronic Industry Complex is composed of around 150 electronics related firms, mostly small and medium enterprises, together with the supporting firms. It is served by a specialized education institution such as the Komi Electronics High School and the Kyohim Engineering College. So two institutions are meant exclusively for that specific cluster only. So they train the people and generate the people who can get the employment in that cluster only. In the Philippines, there are various delivery modes in the implementation of the TVT in the Philippines, like school-based. You can train in schools only. Schools means the institutions basically, community-based, and enterprise-based. So the training can be given either in the schools. Schools means the colleges or the technical institutions, or in the enterprises also, companies also. The enterprise-based delivery involves the participation of the private sector. The enterprises-based programs like apprenticeship and dual training systems are carried out within the firm. So the students they learn everything right within the firms over there. So because it's an enterprise-based education and training. Australia industry is expected to take a leadership role in identifying the competencies and training packages to be delivered by the training system. So the industry decides what training packages or what competencies are required by the student, and those things are transmitted to the institutions. So the institutes they train the students on those competencies which have been identified by the industry. At the secondary school level, the employers work with the vocational program coordinators to provide workplace learning for the students. Institutions and industry partnerships are generally reflected in a formal sense in the development and implementation of industry training packages, the composition of course advisory groups, and the delivery of apprenticeship training. Staff and institutions are very active in developing and maintaining informal networks with the industry. In Malaysia, the TVT means technical and vocational education and training. It's a very comprehensive term basically. TVT graduates are required to pass skills standard test and 1 year training at the workplace for getting the Malaysian vocational certificate and Malaysian skills certificate. One of the best practices is the industrial attachment program for academic staff, which ensures desirable outcomes for both partners in the collaborations. So as a part of their joint thing, the staff has got to be trained in the industry. This I have already discussed, the IT in Singapore. So you can see this is an ITI of Singapore. This is an ITI of Singapore, which is maybe better than our IITs also. Okay, we go to the next portion, which is the community college in the USA. The US community colleges are the largest and the fastest growing sector of the higher education in the United States. They ensure that the people of all socio-economic backgrounds, from new immigrants to laid-off workers to those who have advanced degrees, have access to the education and services. They play a significant role in developing students for the workforce and are of equal value to the adults as they are to the traditional age students. So it is meant not only for the students but also for the adult people also. So the US community colleges, they offer the associate degrees. That means after the 12th, you go for the community colleges. You spend two years over there, you get an associate degree over there. That is the first 2 years of a university education after the 12th, with transfer opportunities. So once you complete those 2 years, you can go to the universities. Okay. Workforce preparation, they educate and train the workers for the jobs, lifelong learning, update skills, learning new knowledge. You know why they're called community colleges? Because in a specific community, the community has certain requirements in a specific state, on a specific area. So these colleges, they train the people on those skills which are required by that specific community. Any student after 12th can come and do a 2 years program, a certificate, and get a associate degree. He can also go to the university later on and do another 2 years and get a degree over there. Or even the people who are adults, those who want to do something over there, they can come to the community colleges, attend 2 years over there, get some the same training, and they become the workers over there. So this is the system of US thing. So they have this associate degrees. After the 12th, spend 2 years, get associate degree, go to the university, another 2 years, you get a bachelor's, and then you can. There's a regional accreditation of post-secondary institutions. There's an external quality review is carried out by private and non-profit agencies in 6 different regions of the United States. The regional agencies recognized by the US Department of Education. The universities, the 4-year colleges, and the community colleges are accredited by the same regional. So that's not different agency, same agency. And Ministry of Education recognizes the regionally accredited higher education institutions. So you can see those the community colleges. They are more on the eastern side and a little less on the western side. So there are around 100 and 195 regionally accredited, which are accredited US community colleges, and 11.5 million students have been teaching, have been studying over there. The students enrollment in the alumni include 46% of all the post-secondary students in the US begin at the community colleges. I mean, almost 50% of the plus after 12 they go to the community colleges. There are around 87,000 international students in 2008, and the alumni include the Pulitzer Prize recipients, chief executive office scientists, chief executive officers, scientists, governors, etc., from the community colleges. So all these people, they were all studied at the community colleges. After that 12th, they went to the community colleges. They spent 2 year community colleges, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all those people. They were. So this is the type of colleges, independent. Mostly they are public. Some are independent and some are tribal. This is the breakdown. Accessible, that means you can get the training as per your flexible hours, convenient, affordable, adaptable, and accountable. So this is the benefit of community colleges. Why the students choose UC community colleges? The credits transfer to the university, so they can go to the university after that, plus after spending 2 years over there. Cost-effective tuition is very cheap as compared to US standards. Supporting learning environment. So the same thing, you spend 2 years at the community college, 2 at the university, and then get a bachelor's degree. So after +2, you enter into community college, spend 2 years over there, you get a associate degree, another 2 years, and then you can get a bachelor's degree. This is their funding sources. Funding is being done by the state funds, tuition and fee, local funds, federal funds, and such others. The classes are advanced degrees as well as by the instructor's experience in the field. So in the classes, not only the academicians, industry, they come and teach in the classrooms. So it is a collaborative, it's a very strong partnership basically. The programs are designed for student success. Small classes, 25 to 30 students, they provide more opportunity for the dialogue. You can have much more close interaction with these small groups. The US community colleges also play an important role in the area in which they reside. They act as an economic catalyst by providing employers with an educated and trained workforce. They serve all members in the community who can benefit from their services. They are responsive to the labor market. The colleges work with the industry to determine what type of learning and skills students need to enter into the work. The students are educated and trained for jobs available. So they get hands-on, progressive, customized training and learning opportunities are given. Some of the examples of associate degrees like architectural design, computer technology, culinary arts, diesel technology, digital imaging, electronics, fashion. So some of the examples of the associated degrees given by the US community colleges. These colleges are at the forefront of healthcare. 59% of the nurses and other healthcare workers in the US are from the Homeland Security. 80% of the firefighters, law enforcement officers are basically from the community colleges. Teachers, almost 50% of the teachers in the US, they come from the community colleges. The community college graduate 20 to 30% more than people with only high school diplomas. The students can obtain to handle a wide range of jobs which need more than a high school education but not a 4 years degree. The employees' viewpoint, the US community are increasingly seen as a model to train a more skilled workforce. 95% of the businesses and organizations that employ community college graduates commend their valuable work for education and training. And that is how they get the support. So they're getting support from the community, from the industry, from the government, and then they can transfer to the university also. So this is the support system of the US community colleges. So a community college and industry partnership is a collaboration between a community college and individual business. So they have links with the industries with the purpose of using the resources of all partners to create alternative college education programs for non-traditional students, which includes both young workforce and older ones that are linked to the regional economic development and labor force needs. The partners, all the partners, that means industry, the college, all those partners, they can the chambers, they can contribute human resources, finances, facilities, equipments, and leadership, to accomplish the agreed upon goals and outcomes. The success factors for partnership, they recognize a local or a regional economic challenge that calls for the collaborative attention. They establish a shared mission and the goals. They ensure that the value is achieved for all the partners, have strong executive leadership, develop a governance and accountability mechanisms. The community colleges industry partnership benefits curriculum and instruction transformation. So the curriculum is also, in consultation with industries. So they provide, like the new models, they provide modularized and competency-based curriculum. Modularized, they break the entire curriculum into different modules. You can come attend a module, and then you can go out. You can work on based on that module. Again, you can come back. The person acquires the competency, he cannot leave, you know. So he has to have that actual competency of performing that thing. Only then he can be allowed to go, you know. It's a competency-based curriculum. Professional development, to develop the skills needed to design new curricula, teach integrated development of professional and academic courses. Shared resources for the responsibility. The partnerships contribute to sustaining newly developed educational programs. Systemic instructional improvements. Okay, let me take a case study. There's one metropolitan college in US, which is a collaboration. You know, there's one UPS, United Postal Services. There's one industry known as the UPS. So they had a tie-up with some of the universities, and then they had this college, you know. Okay. You see, one hallmark of the community college industry partnership is the recognition of an economic challenge. If there is a problem in the community, for solving that problem, they can have a program. That is basically community colleges. So the Metropolitan College program in the Louisville, Kentucky is a particularly good example. Individual employees' needs that has brought economic implications. So there was an industry known as the UPS. They were facing some workers for the night shift, which they were not getting. So they wanted to shift out of the Louisville, out of the Kentucky. So once the industry moves from state, the state loses. So the state wanted to retain that industry. So they said, okay, we'll set up a college who will produce students which you can hire. So they had this tie-up. So the Metropolitan College basically came, which was basically set up to, you know, give the to fulfill the staff requirements of the UPS. Same thing I have already. If you see the last thing, the result of this collaboration is a Metropolitan College, which is a partnership among the UPS, Jefferson Community and Technical College, and University of Louisville. So there was a technical college, there's a university, and then the industry. So they set up a college which provides the staff for the industry. So the students, when they study over there, they spend some time they work in the industry. The industry takes care of all their expenses in terms of the tuition and other expenses, and that is how it is win-win for everybody. So the UPS provides part-time employment for the students. It also pays half the cost of the tuition and reimbursement of the textbooks. The state and the local governments pay the other half of tuition and provide the students with the access to the JCTC and University of Louisville. Students can participate in the Metropolitan College. They can work part-time in the night shift with full-time benefits. They're working, they are in the daytime they study, in the evening, in the nighttime they do part-time, but they get full-time salary. And these student employees, they're known as student employees, receive tuition for any major and bonuses that reimbursement for the textbooks. And the students are responsible to pay the fee, including the parking and student activation fees. It has been extremely successful, and 2 additional Kentucky companies have joined the Metropolitan College program. Why it works? Because there's a strong, sustained financial commitment from both the UPS and by the state. So the company and the state, they contribute towards the funding. Academic and social support components are built into this model. The Metropolitan College ensures that the students receive guidance in career building skills in addition to the academic preparations. The financial support for students is also a significant component of the Metropolitan College blessing model. Bill Gates has said that the community colleges have always been driven by what is the most relevant to the employment market. So whatever is required by the market, whatever is required by the specific community, that specific requirement or demand of the community is being met by the community colleges. Barack Obama says the community colleges are a vital component of our higher education system, serving almost 50% of the undergrad students in the United States. This is the wife of the previous US Vice President, Joe Biden. Her name is Jill Biden. She's the wife of Joe Biden, the previous, US Vice President. She's a teacher in a community college. She teaches in a community college. She says, I have witnessed firsthand the power of a community college lives, and I think that the smaller classes sizes, the nurturing environment, and the personal contacts make a difference in supporting students. In my classes, I know I get to know my students well, and I'm able to partner with each of them to help them succeed. So a country's vice president's wife is teaching in a community college. Okay, we go to the concluding slides. We talk of synergy from the networking. When you see the geese heading south, you can see the geese. There are geese when they come to the south. When they come from Siberia to this area, south, for the winters flying in a V formation, you must have thought what science they have discovered as to why do they fly that way. They're all flying in a V formation. If you see at the sky, they're flying in a V formation. So why they're flying in V formation? As each bird flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the bird immediately following. So by flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds at least 71% greater flying range than if each bird flew on its own. So that is the science behind this thing, So what is the message? People who share a common direction, people means like the industry and the institute I'm talking of, who share a common direction and sense of community can get where they are going more quickly and more easily because they are traveling on the thrust of one another. When a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the drag and resistance of trying to go it alone and quickly gets back into the formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird in front. When the head goose, the one at the very start, who's leading basically, gets tired, it comes back, it rotates back, and another goose flies in front. That means it is sensible to do demanding jobs in turns. The geese honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep up their speed. So what messages do we give when we honk from behind? If we have the sense of a goose, will stand by each other. So that is the benefit of having a, like a partnership basically.